Good morning, everybody, and a warm welcome to what is now the fourth of the series of our Anything in Print webinars. It's great that so many of you have joined us today, and we do appreciate you taking time out to join us. My name's Tim Carter, and I'm responsible for the commercial print division within Ricoh. And I'm really pleased today to be joined by Danny Krebin from Paper Hat Creative, which is a leading London agency. And Philip Dodd, one of our long-established customers with a great track record in innovating with print. And also my colleague Andy Campbell, who's an innovation and application manager at our Customer Experience Centre in Telford. Between them, they'll be able to give you a real insight into how to build a successful strategy, get your foot in the door, inspire and win work. But first, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you've any questions during the webcast, you can submit them through the Q&A engagement tool. We will try to answer as many of these during the webcast, but if a fuller answer is needed or we run out of time, it will be answered later via email. An on-demand version of today's recording will be sent to you after the event, and additional help materials are available in the resource list. We encourage you to download any resources or links that you may find useful. For the best viewing experience, we recommend using a wired internet connection and closing any programs or browser sessions running in the background that could cause issues. But webinars like these are pretty bandwidth intensive, so closing any unnecessary browser tabs will help conserve your bandwidth. But now on to the main part of the webinar. As I mentioned, this is the fourth to the series of practical webinars we have been and will be running through May until July. And we'll be covering a wide range of topics, including tactical advice on how to manage transformation, driving more value in the digital printed page, and developing added value services to core business. I hope you attended the first 3 episodes in which we discussed industry outlook, large format growth, opportunities, as well as using innovation and digital technology to best return to scale. If not, the events are available on demand from the resource list. Today we've got a really packed agenda of discussion topics again, this time focusing around the final 2 stages of the McKinsey model, which cover reimagination and reforming a business. Just a reminder, we chose the 5 R's from McKinsey as it refers to the stages of resolve, resilience, return, reimagination and reform. And because it precisely fits the journey that any organisation, print or otherwise, will have to take on during these difficult times. The IPA and the BPIF advice in the first episode was clear. Once we return to business, we all have to create the new normal and rethink how our existing processes work or don't work to our advantage, and then redefine what's holding us back or preventing us from growth. I'm confident the insight from my guest speakers today and next week will help you think about new strategies and what immediate steps you can take to reinvigorate your print operation. In previous webinars, I spoke about the power of print and the opportunity it presents in general. It represents one of the greatest inventions of all time, and let's not underestimate the impact that print has had on society over the years. Since its invention by Gutenberg, it's contributed to the spread of literacy and education around the world, amongst many other high-impact achievements. It is still the most tangible, the most impactful, and the most sustainable method of communications. And in spite of many challenges and competing digital formats, print and our industry still remains relevant, enduring, and effective. Over the years, print has changed, but more importantly, its purpose has evolved. Today, we can virtually print anything, but our print services go well beyond the hardware or even the software that facilitates it. As an industry, we need to work together to consider what print can do to impact the fabric of business itself. We want to help our industry to communicate the mindset that together we can tackle anything in print, especially in these unprecedented times. For years, we've all been focused on the digital experience. We've lived through our screens. The novelty of digital isn't wearing off. It's evolving, but as it grows into every part of our lives, it needs enhancing. Now more than ever, we work remotely, we collaborate online, we digest more and more content digitally. But this doesn't mean that print has become obsolete. Quite the contrary. There's a lot of evidence that suggests that print, when used strategically alongside digital marketing, can be a very powerful tool. Digital media is very good at conveying a message at speed to two parties who trust each other, like email or social media to your followers, but not at a scale when it comes to sharing an important message or building a brand-client relationship. Alan Hammer, a journalist at Marketing Week, agrees, saying, with the exception of TV, which is the only medium where perceptions match the evidence, newspapers, magazines and radio are all much better at building brand campaigns than advertising agencies think. Yet brands continue to spend a significant proportion of their budget on digital-only campaigns. So what additional value can be gained by adding print to the marketing mix to drive brand recognition and profile? We have to help brands and creatives understand the value of the printed message. And now's the time. What's more, brands often focus on costs alone, disregarding print as an expansive medium of communication. But investing in something expensive, for example print, proves you're serious about your message. People subconsciously disbelieve anything that is cheap or worse, free. An email is considered free. Your content may not necessarily be cheap to create, but consumers tend to think this way about email communications. Content may be the same, but the meaning is perceived differently with print. Print, as an edited form of communication, is more trusted and more efficient at getting through the noise and creating that unique cut-through. Therefore, smart and creative campaigns that incorporate print in a forward-thinking way represent the best opportunity for brand campaign return on investment. Posted mail is even more relevant in the digital age, as 90% of consumers open at least some of their mail immediately. Think about when you get home and there's mail awaiting. Do you throw it away as you would do with spam email? According to a survey by the Royal Mail, adding printed media to the marketing mix can boost return on investment by 12%. And 65% of people say that they're likely to give printed media, rather than email, their full attention. And 87% of people are influenced to buy online as a direct result of receiving printed media. That's our opportunity. But as IT strategies research suggests, print product needs to be more relevant, impactful, and on time as ever before. This presents the greatest opportunity for digital print technology as we return from lockdown and discover the new norm that awaits. Innovations in print technology play a vital part here. What we can achieve today with a relatively small investment from a printer and a digital press was unheard of 10 years ago. Print enhancement techniques, including media types, finishing and embellishment, have evolved so much over the last 5 to 10 years, driving more value and creating more opportunity. Print as a truly complementary media with qualities that stand out and create impact. These techniques include spot color, gamma expansion, metallic, fluorescent, foil, textured and coatings, plus many others. But it's the people in our industry who are going to have the biggest impact on how we work with clients and customers to bring new ideas and visions to life. Before we move on to the main part of our event, I want to finish on the market opportunity. There are, as many of you well know, two basic strategies for a print service provider. You can focus on either driving value upwards or cost downwards. It's difficult to produce and pursue both strategies at the same time. With a value-driven strategy, you'll be delivering quality improvements. And according to Infotrends research, 30% of all colour pages, that's both offset and digital, receive some type of special effects enhancement. But only 0.5% of these pages are being enhanced with a digital process. This means there's a huge opportunity for digital print enhancement. What's more, digital print enhancement is done in line with a digital press, and profit margins on these can be very high. That's because your clients perceive them to be worth more and be more impactful and generate better cut through than standard CMYK print. And therefore, they and their clients are probably willing to pay more. So I hope that's provided a little bit of food for thought. But now let's move on and introduce our guests. Again, I'd like to welcome Danny, Philip, and Andy. I appreciate you all joining me today to support with this webinar. So, Danny, I'd like to turn to you first. With your extensive experience in the agency world, you must have a great insight into the best approach to working with printers. Can you let us know a little bit more about how you would suggest companies should start if they want to gain access to advertising, design, and marketing agencies?
Thanks, Tim. Hi, everyone. I'm Dani, the Senior Creative at PayPack Creative, located in London, UK, and Vienna, Austria. Our services to clients include branding, marketing, digital, packaging, and design. My experience over the last 10 years has been working directly with clients and suppliers on creative campaigns, as well as focusing on design and artworking for both small and large format print. So to answer your question, I recognize that one of the challenges print service providers may face today is selling print to or getting your foot in the door of ad agencies, marketing firms, and with designers. So you'll just want to start by developing a strategy and by building a talk track. To do this, start off by being a good listener. Do as much research as about the agency before you make the first call. Try to find out what keeps them up at night. What challenges are they facing? Is it speed? Is it print innovations? Is it cost? Understand what agencies need and be ready to apply your capabilities in a relevant way. So, for example, if you see that the majority of an agency's work is in oversized retail, speak to your successes in that area. Or if a designer works in packaging, show your solutions of unique packaging finishes that stand out. When you speak to us, we're not necessarily interested in a list of equipment you have, but we will want to know what you can create for us. So I guess, Tim, in summary, it's that we want to know that a provider is going to be approaching us as a problem solver and not just a service provider.
Great, thanks. That's a great insight. Thank you, Danny. Philip, would you share how you and your company started the process and what was the first step?
I agree with much of what Danny has said, and hi, everybody. We've actually set out 5-6 years ago to differentiate ourselves. We knew that for ourselves there wasn't a future in just offering what 90% of printers offer. They will say that they offer great service and great quality, and that's just not enough. We have to position ourselves, I call it, a trusted advisor. We seek to understand whether it's an agency client particularly, and we want to know, what their challenges are and how we can help them with that. Our job in part is to make them look good in the eyes of their clients so that they can deliver ever better solutions. So Tim, that's really our starting out point. It's really getting to know what's important to them, and it might change on a day-to-day basis or from client to client, because we're dealing with one agency, they're dealing with many clients within that.
Okay, thanks, Philip. That's a great insight, and I love the term trusted advisor, because I think that fundamentally enables you to work in true partnership and strategic partnership with your clients and with the agencies as well. So let's move on. Danny, I hear from my clients that they sometimes struggle to communicate their offering effectively with creatives and marketing agencies. So have you got any suggestions or advice here?
I'd say that when you're speaking with us, while we do want to hear popular buzz terms like cutting edge creative techniques and special effects, just as importantly, there are a few other things that get our interest peaked. Tell us if you can match brand colors digitally and that you don't have a minimum order. Not only is this great for us when we have clients that need just smaller applications, but often we want to test a concept before committing to a full run. Also, sell us on the possibility of personalization and the benefits of versioned print campaigns. We do this already loads with digital marketing, and we recognize it's a growing opportunity in print as well. And finally, Tim, as we all know, time and budget are less and less of a resource these days. So tell us how agile you are and how quickly you can react to and turn around projects.
Great, thank you, Dan. I think there's some great pointers there. Philip, would you like to add further to that?
It's a great buying list from Danny, that's for sure. It's not unusual that our clients want things very, very quickly at a great price, and the quality is a given. But I think, again, going back to how we can help in these instances and how printers can be a lot more proactive. Listen, think about how you can help. So we will offer print appreciation for agency staff. So we will help them better understand what they can do, what processes. We spoke yesterday. We produce a comparator branded to our client, not to ourselves. So we're thinking all the while about what's in it for them rather than what's in it for us. Eventually, we hope to be this trusted advisor to them. But if we want to talk to them about special effects, such as neon, send them something, delight them with something, get their interest. Before this webinar started, I happened to show Tim a personalized notebook showing neon to great effect. Well, if I wanted to start a conversation with Danny in Austria, I'd send her one of these and then I'd phone her. I've got something to talk about. I might still do that, Danny. Over to you, Tim.
Thank you, Philip. And a great showcase of the technology and the use of the technology being able to create some special effects. Okay, so let's move on. When we spoke before, Danny, you mentioned to me that you've got some great relationships with local printers. So how was this achieved?
So our best suppliers have been the ones that have gone the extra mile with us, that have collaborated with the design team. So partnership, collaboration, and communication, they are absolutely critical, very important to our success. And we reward these suppliers by going back to them time and time again. When we approach a printer with a creative concept, asking for their input or advice on production, and their only interaction with us is along the lines of, okay, can you send me the spec? We tend to consider them more of a commodity supplier than someone we think we will work with regularly. So share your knowledge with us. Be the consultant, the person willing to be involved to advise and help and guide. Become a material specialist. Send us samples, as Phil said. Tell us about imaginative print techniques, finishes, or papers that can be used in a creative way to solve our brief. I guess also, additionally, I know that sometimes we ask for incredibly short deadlines, and that's because that's the ball that's thrown at us by our clients. If you don't drop that ball and you help us turn around and deliver in a quick way, you'll be one of our best friends and we'll keep coming back. And on that, I think as a final note, Tim, in relation to how you, as a supplier, deliver your service, what is your standard or your promise? Is it quality, speed, or customer service? Whatever it is, make sure that you can deliver on it consistently.
Fantastic. Again, a great insight and really interesting feedback. Philip, you've got some fantastic relationships with London agencies. So can you let us know your approach?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tim. We have some great relationships, and those relationships take time. These clients trust us, and we need to be worthy of that trust and build that trust over time. We have to position ourselves, which our salespeople are very, very good at, that we are creative. If we want to deal with creatives, then at least we have to demonstrate being on the same page as them. So we will use social media. we have something called Material Monday, where we share with clients different materials. We have Finishing Friday, again, so that we can share with them our knowledge. Surely this is part of what a printer and advisor is going to. But you've got to take time. Trust, as Danny says, can take many forms. I mentioned to you yesterday, we had a client which we're not their main provider, and they came on a few weeks ago, and it was all down to one of their major house building clients opening up their buildings so that they could show people. They needed door hangers warning people of their facilities re-COVID, and they needed them in 2 hours. We have to respond to that because the reward for the client in doing that for a customer is too great, and we need to help them. That's our view, Tim, of the world.
Yeah, and an interesting point you made that I think resonates with me is that these relationships and this nurturing process that you've been so very successful with does take time and effort. And I think, organisations need to be prepared to commit that time and effort to eventually get the return. Okay, thank you, Philip. So moving on. You mentioned knowledge sharing. So Danny, could you elaborate a little bit more on that topic?
Yeah, I mean, as I've mentioned just now, and Philip's mentioned as well, when we approach a print service provider with a concept and we don't have all the answers, such as exact size, finishing type, special effects, etc., would be best suited for the brief we're trying to achieve. In that case, what we really value, appreciate, and reward are suppliers who are resourceful to us. So as I said, those who collaborate with the design team, get involved in the design thinking process. We want suppliers who help us find that edge for our clients, as we don't often have budgets for do-overs, so we need to do something great the first time around. There are a lot of lessons we as creatives can learn from printers. So as a supplier, like Phil said, maybe do the different things and stuff that, present your best print. Maybe it's hosting webinars of your own or open houses, putting tips up on your website, your social media about new substrates, toners, other exciting creative print ideas. I guess lastly, Tim, while designers can envision a design and even work with a print service provider to create a design, we don't necessarily always know how to accurately, correctly set up artwork for special print effects, and that can be a little bit intimidating. So help educate us on that too. We have a guide here provided by Andy Campbell at Recode that explains in a really easy way how to artwork and has been tremendously helpful. Thanks, Tim.
Great. Thank you. And Philip, could you elaborate a little bit more on this concept of knowledge sharing?
Yeah, it can take many different forms. I mean, certainly one or two of our salespeople really love to go into agencies when they were allowed to, and hopefully one day they can again, although we may have to amend that way of working, and we will. They will go in and they will take samples. They will take samples of the latest interesting material, because it's very difficult for agencies with their daily lives. It's our job to bring these papers and finishes to their attention. It may also so be that to some of our agency customers that carbon balance and recycling is going to be very important to them. And again, part of this advisor role, we can help them go to their customers and give a carbon balance perspective, so that their clients can be seen to following best practice. And as I say, Tim, we can advise on that.
And I understand that you're one of only 10 organisations in the UK that can provide a total offset of carbon balance. And I know that approach is becoming more and more important as we move forward. So again, a great asset to your business. Thank you. We hear the term data-driven approach all the time. So what does it mean to an agency?
So we are a results-driven agency. By that, I mean, great design is more than a pretty picture. It has to influence the customer experience. It must be based on information and strategy, which stems from data. So the data that will work in a print service provider's favor is that studies have shown that millennials are responding more and more to direct mail. research has shown that something in your hand is more trusted, as you were saying earlier. It demands a lot more attention than seeing on a screen. So in this way, print can enhance online campaigns by bringing another touch point, one that is perceived as more real. An agency can collect valuable data running through 2 small test versions of a campaign to see which one is more efficient before launching a full campaign. Digital printing makes this a much more economical, viable process. And then finally, Tim, much like digital marketing, print personalization is still a growing market. Response rates are higher when using targeted data. When targeted data is used to tailor things like headlines and content for unique audiences, as they stand out more to the individual.
Really interesting. Some really powerful facts there. Thank you, Danny. Philip, anything to add on that?
Only in so much as that we've found so far the actual use of personalization as an overall of our digital work has tended to be quite low. It is growing. It is the data side of things. It's the harvesting of the data and presenting it in a form that is of great use to improve the ROI. We have the technical ability, obviously, as a print provider with our digital presses. My belief is that we will see greater growth in this area too. Okay,
thanks, Philip. So the journey of engaging with an agency, once the first contact is made and the work on the building and establish the relationship has been completed and knowledge has been shared, surely this now must all be validated by physical print. Danny, could you comment on that?
I mean, absolutely. So a bit about creatives and designers. We are fun people, and we can spend all day long looking at other people's creative work. We love holding, feeling, inspecting creative prints and packaging. I don't know a single designer who doesn't have some form of samples on their desk for inspiration. So get those in our hands. Like what Phil was saying, when a client comes to us with a brief, we need to solve it creatively, and it needs to look amazing. So we often flick through these to get inspired. And we particularly love these samples as we use them to sell a client on an idea. Most clients can't visualize a concept from a description or suggestion alone. They need to see it to be convinced. So we regularly present samples to clients to show them how powerful things like interesting papers, neons, metallic effects, etc. can be. If you have created and provided something special that has inspired us, you're likely going to be the first supplier we reach out to when we need to create some creative print. So send us your best, your rarest, your highest quality prints. Send us samples that feel different. You can put them in context and make them relatable, or even a nice box of postcard samples with creative print techniques. Maybe partner up with a creative agency you already work with to create these samples, or a kit to get yourself out there. In the same way, the G.F. Smith block is the book that most designers look through for colored paper inspiration. You want to be the printer we go to when we want innovative or creative print. So in summary, I'd say inspire us, put your name in our mind as the company to deliver us with something special. So I mentioned relatable samples. Sorry, go on.
No, that's great insight, and I think you wanted to extend on that a little bit more.
Yes, sorry. So I mentioned relatable samples that you could present to us, and I'll just run through a couple of these with you. So for retail and promotional packages, I'd say oversized media. Remind us that not everything needs to be A4, A5, or DL. Tell us what cool stuff can we print on. Tell us about synthetic, specialty, and magnetic materials. Clear, white, and visible toners. Inspire us with interesting uses. And then, of course, variable personalization, the importance of which I spoke about earlier. And some other examples include premium materials and packaging. Designers and our clients, we love the high impact that premium print techniques deliver. However, many of us believe that these effects and substrates can cost an outrageous amount and may shy away from it if budgets are constrained. This puts you in an advantageous position to educate us. Deliver the good news that they are relatively affordable with digital printing and help them deliver some standout packaging and prints. We'll want you to know that you can match our brand colors. So we'll want to know that you can match our brand colors. One reason we've leaned away from digital printing in past years was a fear of not being able to match Pantones, or that it would be inconsistent across different substrates, which is every brand agent's nightmare. But being able to blend neon toners with CMYK, allowing us to match more Pantones digitally, and thereby run smaller runs for more applications, has been a large relief for our budgets and time constraints. Furthermore, invisible red and clear toners opens you up to affordably produce high-value materials that need a level of security authenticity, such as tickets, vouchers, and certificates. Any agencies that work with clients in entertainment, retail, or educational, for example, would be very interested in seeing these. And then finally, show us new ways to be creative. Don't stop at the standard. What else can you create? What else can we print on? Show us examples of oversized print for direct mail, clear toner to deliver unexpected cool effects, and think unique for seasonal. As I mentioned earlier, creatives love being inspired. So show us the different ways that you could print something, finish something, fold something. So Tim, I guess I'd summarize to be open to a partnership with us, inspire us, and show us how to create new and awesome things.
Fantastic, Danny. That's been a really interesting and intriguing insight. And for now, thank you for your involvement in the webinar. But please do join us later for a general Q&A session. Philip, turning to you, I know you and Jane, your sales and marketing manager, are very active in this area. You're constantly creating and marketing your best work. And my marketing team are always praising the pieces you send to us. So how do you decide on what to show to agencies?
We're of the opinion, I mean, Danny really has hit the nail on the head, that people like fun. People like to have a degree of entertainment in their lives. It's and printers have, over the years, been not very good at this. The printers who are listening, Danny has given a very succinct idea of what you have to do if you want to work with these people, and you're going to have to work pretty hard at it. But you're right. I hope Jane, my sales and marketing manager, is watching this webinar, because of all the people I've ever dealt with, here is somebody that has a deep love of print and a really deep love of the creative use of print. And I guess having somebody that heads up my sales and marketing function, this actually spreads out this great enthusiasm for all things print. I mean, sitting on my desk just off to my left is a Christmas card of a die-cut reindeer, and Jane actually knitted 4,000 little scarves for them. You know, you're not going to get very much more creative than that, bless her. So yes, it's putting yourselves in where the agency is, and just having fun and letting your imagination when we're doing marketing and using that to enhance the experience with the agencies. So that's our view of the world, Tim, and we're not going to change from that, because we love what we do.
Fantastic. No, I think the passion that you demonstrate is clearly fundamental to the success you've had. So again, for now, Philip, thank you for supporting us, and I will come back to you during the Q&A session a little bit later on. I hope you found this first-hand advice informative, and please remember we have resources to help you as well. I'd now like to bring in my colleague from Ricoh Europe, who creates some incredible assets for us all to use. So I'd now like to introduce Andy Campbell. Andy, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Tim. It's been very interesting listening to Philip and Danny's discussions about the importance of well-presented and inspirational print samples today. As you've heard discussed, raising awareness of the creative possibilities of digital print and print finishing within agencies is critical to the success of a modern print business. Ricoh understands that it's not always easy to find the time and also the budget to create and print these types of inspirational pieces. So we have developed a wide range of sales and marketing tools to support your business. One of these is the Creative Inspiration Guides, and these were designed to raise the awareness of what is possible within digital printing and finishing, and to hopefully inspire new ideas within the creative community. They've primarily been designed for use by our customer sales teams to help them sell digitally enhanced print. These book sets are not only focused on Ricoh technology, but they also aim to cover all of the enhanced print techniques that are growing in popularity today. Currently, these sets consist of 5 books: neon, white, clear, foil, and a design guide. There's also a spot UV and a metallics book in production. As new techniques and toners come to market, Ricoh will aim to keep the sets current with market trends. The design guide artwork is also free to use by Ricoh's customers, so you can add your own brand identity and print and distribute to customers or send them electronically. Here's some examples here of neon extending the color gamut. As you've seen earlier, there were some examples of foil. Moving on. One of the things is also to create demand within the creative community. So in many cases, digital printing can offer a wider range of paper types than traditional analog printing. So this opens up a whole new range of creative possibilities. So to create awareness or increase awareness of the wide range of paper choice available to creatives, Ricoh has partnered with paper merchants like Antalis and paper mills like Favini and Fedrigoni to help them develop back-selling tools. And the aim of these tools is not only to influence the choice of the paper for the creative project, but also to influence the creative's preferred printing technology. So it's all about creating awareness and creating demand. Interestingly, Ricoh is also currently working with Fedrigoni UK on their Fedrigoni 365 2021 calendar project. This is a prestigious project that's been running for the last 3 years, and Ricoh has been the first manufacturer to be invited to take part in this. The aim is to showcase Fedrigoni paper along with creative digital print to over 1,000 creators within the UK. This is actually the first public announcement from Ricoh about this, as the press release has not gone out yet. We also have the Ricoh Business Booster. This is a powerful tool to help market your business. Exclusively for Ricoh production customers, Ricoh Business Booster is a value-added business development program designed to provide you with relevant tools and resources to support, accelerate, and expand your business. This robust, continuously updated online resource provides a wealth of information, education, and exclusive materials all in one place. As a Ricoh production customer, your membership is absolutely free. Ricoh Business Booster will be launched in the UK in July 2020, and there's another webinar following on this later this month that will take you in more detail. Thank you very much, Tim. That's my quick overview.
Cheers, Andy. Thanks for that really interesting insight and perspective from Ricoh. And it's very clear and evident from your feedback that like the response we have from both Danny and from Philip, that Ricoh are aligned in terms of that innovation. So that's great. And for now, thank you. But please do join me at the end of the webinar for a general Q&A. But appreciate your support. Thank you. So just in bringing the formal part of the webinar to conclusion, we'd really welcome the opportunity to follow up and discuss our extensive range of products and solutions, some of which Andy had just previously mentioned. Furthermore, the continued extensive innovation and development programs at Ricoh will not only support your short-term business strategies and goals, but also the longer-term opportunities to produce more creative print that will stand out, provide differentiation, and drive value. So please get in touch via the normal channels and also online to download the content from today, plus an extensive library of content to help your business thrive and prosper. I'd also encourage you to look out for the follow-up webinars we'll be hosting through June and July, again designed to provide that insight, inspiration, and support. So that wraps up the formal part of our webinar this morning. I hope you found it interesting, informative, and enjoyable. But throughout the webinar, we've encouraged you to post your questions. So I'd now like to turn to the questions that have been asked, and if we can address those individually. So just looking at some of these questions. So we have a question from Sam. High impact printed personalisation campaigns are difficult to sell against digital-only campaigns. So how do I overcome this? Philip, would you maybe like to take that question initially?
Could you just read that question again? That didn't come through too clearly.
Sorry, yeah, high-impact printed personalisation campaigns are difficult to sell against digital-only campaigns. How do I overcome this?
It's difficult. A very, very difficult question to ask. It's, again, I think it's getting close to the agencies. I think this work and your clients is getting close to them. And for a printer, for many printers in the UK, they may have to partner with somebody to be able to offer the whole package. And I think that might be something that they wish to look at, Tim. But quite a difficult question to give a succinct answer to, quite honestly.
Okay, Danny, any feedback from yourself in terms of how print can be used to complement digital-only campaigns? Are you there, Danny? I don't know whether you're on mute.
Sorry about that. So to answer your question, companies are ramping up digital efforts since there are fewer opportunities for customers to engage with marketing and sales efforts as there have been in the past. So this has increased the risk of messages getting lost in digital noise. So one thing I'd suggest perhaps and stuff to agencies who you may be struggling to sell into is the power of direct mail, in its tangibility, the ability to literally get the brand in your hand, get the brand in their customer's hand. So I do admit it is a difficult thing to sell in when budgets are getting constrained. Digital tends to be a little bit more on the cheaper side, but there is a lot of power in printed materials as well, as we mentioned before. So I would just find the data research and stuff on what it is that they're selling and see if you can push it that way.
Great, okay, thanks. And I think, as we mentioned before, whilst the value needs to be sold and promoted, print provides cut-through like no other method of communication. Okay, so let's move on. The next question is from Annette. How does print better support brand development campaigns? Could you take that one to begin with, Danny?
How does what, sorry?
How does print better support brand development campaigns?
I mean, it depends on what the client is or what the agency is or what the customer is. So, for example, if it's going to be somewhere like retail or a restaurant or something, print will help in producing the different materials that's needed for it. It won't necessarily work for something like a startup where it's going to be primarily online or in digital. So I think it will enhance brand development when the type of client is correct for it.
Okay, thank you. And Philip, have you any experience of being able to offer print that has really helped to significantly promote a brand?
Yeah, absolutely. Because of the nature of the work we tend to do, it tends to be quite high quality. We do a lot of work within the with the building national house builders. It's enhancing their brand by having print tends to be very much more powerful. Obviously, aligning that with digital campaigns to follow up is going to give a greater ROI. What we're seeing at the moment, as we just start the early stages of exiting lockdown, is a great deal of use. The amount of email coming in is absolutely massive. And I think messages will get lost and print volumes will grow again. And that can only enhance quality brands. Okay, thanks.
And sort of staying with you, Philip, there's a question directly. It's from Dave, and it says, how are margins impacted by Healy's? How are margins impacted by Healy's success with the agencies? So I think the suggestion is, do you see work increasing a higher margin when you are working with agencies?
To a degree, we still have to be mindful of the fact that we're in a very, very competitive industry. Although the number of printers since the year 2000 has dropped to about a third, down to 7,000 printers in the UK, technology has ensured that print remains cost effective. Having said that, certainly working with these people and providing the services, we're finding that our margins are slightly higher than the normal. But as the L'Oreal advert says, we're worth it. Over to you, Tim.
Okay, thank you. A question from Lindsay, and I think I'll direct this one to yourself, Danny. When do agencies expect to increase their activities following lockdown?
I mean, some agencies are increasing it right now because of, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of companies are ramping up their digital efforts. And as Philip said, like, okay, everybody's getting flooded with email. At the moment, a lot of agencies are recognizing there's an audience of potentially 13.2 million people at home right now and stuff who could be looking for a distraction coming in through the mail. This isn't likely to change anytime soon. So direct mail is something that we're looking more heavily into. How soon it will be coming out of lockdown, we can't say for sure. It's such a dynamic atmosphere and environment at the moment, but it's something that we're constantly monitoring, and direct mail is something that we're heavily considering.
Okay, thank you. An interesting question from Karen. Many of the agencies specify HP Indigo as the technology of choice. Please comment. I might respond to that one firstly, Karen. I think for many, many years, HP Indigo has been very, very successful in promoting their brand within the agency sector. And for many years, the technology offered by HP Indigo set the benchmark in terms of look and feel and characteristic, which was very close to offset litho. But other technologies, and indeed Ricoh's technology, has continued to innovate and develop over this time. And we believe, and we're confident, and it's endorsed by what many of our customers say, that the image quality that's achievable now via Ricoh technology is every bit as good as many other competing technologies, including HP Indigo. So whilst I think historically HP was always strong in the agency sector, we're now starting to see agencies embrace different types of technologies that are equally as good and provide the same impact and cut through that have been mentioned previously. Philip, do you want to, because I know that you don't use HP Indigo technology, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, sure, Tim. I think in the HP Indigo have been phenomenally successful in their marketing, whereas most other suppliers of machinery go direct to printers and market that way. HP Indigo have been so clever in marketing direct to agencies and developing this sort of persona that this is the best quality, and it is good quality. Having said that, the difference has narrowed, and as you're well aware, I will get this in, Tim, is that our job is to find out what's important to our clients and then push you to come up with those solutions. So as you're very aware, we know that Ricoh are working on a sort of a matte finish. And I think if we'd been at Drupa in Germany to the exhibition now, we'd be seeing something along those lines. And we see that as a further demonstration of Ricoh's desire to keep innovating so that we can supply our customers with ever better results and quality.
Good. And another follow-on question directly for you, Philip, and this one's from Simon. So what technology is being used by Healey's to service their agency clients?
So he wants all my secrets, yeah?
As much as you're prepared to give.
Not a problem. Well, we are a litho and digital house. We were actually at one stage we were the largest B3 printing company in the UK. We now run Heidelberg XL75 technology, which we believe is is a pretty good machine if you're going to print litho. We currently have three Ricoh presses, a couple of 92s and a 72. The 72 being very important for the differential finishes, neons, etc. And we have a small LED UV press, which seemed like a good idea to put that in November because we had overflow work and had too much litho. As I said, in November, that sounded like a very good idea. Beyond that, most of our finishing we tend to keep in-house. We have our own perfect binding, our own laminating, because having these things in-house enables us to respond far more quickly. So that really gives him a plant, which I normally don't like giving out because it's dull, really. But there you go. That's what he wanted.
Okay.
Got it.
Thank you. Thanks, Philip. And we've got one final question, and this is from John, and I think I'm going to direct this to you, Andy. What are Ricoh's plans to continue to innovate in digital?
We're constantly looking at the at market trends and seeing what creators are doing. We constantly review the web, looking at sites like Behance and seeing what's really trending and what's new in the creative sector. So that gets fed back to R&D. I have a direct connection with R&D in Japan, and we then discuss that, whether that's something we can do on a current product and update customers in the field, or whether that's something we bring to market on a future product. It's a bit hard for me to say in this forum of what we're going to release before we release it, because obviously that's privileged information at the moment. But I can honestly say that we're constantly reviewing new media types. I'm working on a project at the moment that takes us into a different, completely new market sector using our cut sheet toner press. Where we're, because of the COVID situation at the moment, we're looking at running floor graphics, which would typically be done wide format. We're looking at running those on a toner-based press as well. So we're looking at the possibilities of new toners and new inks, bringing those to market and seeing what the popularity of those is. So it's a constant ongoing process. We don't just wait for a new product to come along and then announce that. It's constantly being reviewed all the way through the life cycle of all of our products.
Great. Thank you, Andy. We've just received another... Yeah, thank you. We just received one other question as well. So from Jason, how will cross-media evolve or add value for an agency, and is this a consideration? Danny, could you answer that?
I mean, integrated media has always been something that a lot of agencies have focused on. So just whether it's a small or a large agency, a small or a large client, we'll never just go, we'll very rarely just go, okay, this is the one media that we're going to go with. We're just going to do online. We're just going to do on Facebook. Sometimes now we do and stuff, but we do often work very frequently in integrated campaigns where we use different touch points, and that does include print.
Okay, thank you. So that's it. I think we've gone through all of the questions. So firstly, in summarising and wrapping up, I'd like to thank everybody who's taken time out to attend today. We hope it's been informative and enjoyable and worthwhile. I'd also like to thank my guests today. So thank you, Danny. Thank you, Philip, and thank you, Andy. We do appreciate your support in putting this together and delivering the content. And finally, please make sure we all stay safe and stay healthy. And I look forward to chatting to you and presenting at our next webinar next Tuesday. Thank you very much.